Hey, what's going on? Ryan here with Intersection Records, and we're reviewing last night's concert, El Monstero at Hollywood Casino Amphitheater, formerly known as Riverport Amphitheater, outside of St. Louis in Maryland Heights, Missouri. It was a beautiful night. It's been a heat wave all over the Midwest. St. Louis has been getting scorched, and it was 79 degrees for a high. There was no clouds in the sky. It was a Saturday night. Blue Oyster Cult opened up. I'll put a link to that review in the description. And El Monstero, St. Louis's own Pink Floyd tribute band, just a band that does it so well. Every December around the holidays, Christmas, in between New Year's, they play the Pageant in St. Louis, multiple nights, like 10-night run of that theater. And then every summer, they play Riverport Amphitheater or Hollywood Casino. And they play all eras. It's always a different set list. And last night was particularly great. I went with my buddy Kevin. We sat in the middle section, 204, row JJ. We went with our buddy Joe Schnell and Chuck Taylor and Tommy and Ralph, who I met for the first time. It's fun to go hang out with guys that know music, want to talk about music. We got to the casino early and walked up, and they're playing something off of Animals. KC95 sponsoring the concert. There was a party vibe. Everybody's cocktailing and smoking cigarettes and, hanging out old school. Getting ready for a great concert. Again, Blue Oyster Cult opening up. They were fantastic. Let's get into the set list. It was awesome. So my buddy Kevin had never seen him. He's a huge Floyd fan. Kevin's a great guitar player. He can play, acoustic guitar on Mother and these songs and the electric stuff too. Never seen El Monstero before. So it was a treat to do that and to see it with him. They open up. I'm thinking it's a song off of Momentary Lapse of Reason, but no. It's Take It Back off of the Division Bell, an album that has aged really well. I think it's better than its predecessor, Momentary Lapse of Reason, with songs like High Hopes and Take It Back as a song. I can't believe they opened with that. It's a pretty deep track off of a deep album, and that was great. Then Happiest Days of Our Lives, which is the intro to Another Brick in the Wall, and you can hear the chopper going over the amphitheater and circling the amphitheater. The lead singer of the guy that plays the Roger Waters character, Mark Thomas Quinn, all of a sudden pops out right in front of Kevin and I, like 5 rows in front of us, and he's doing the call part to the chopper as it's going around, and then Another Brick in the Wall part 2 breaks in, and the band is crazy. There's fire going up in the air, and again, the chopper's going. We're having some beers and chilling and having a good time, and it's a great night already. You can just tell the band's locked in and nailing, guitar parts. We have Jimmy Griffin on guitar. He plays the David Gilmour character, but also is flanked by Brian Green, who's playing just glassy tones on his Strat. So we got the 2 guitar attack there. John Pisoni on drums, Bill Rader on keyboards, and Kevin Gagspain on bass. I'm assuming these are still the same guys in the band. Anyway, we get through that section, and then we break into Mother. And again, Mark Thomas Quinn on vocals and acoustic guitar at this point, giving us a nice rendition of that before you then go into Empty Spaces, which is just another just cool segment. You don't have to do that as that little intro goes into Young Lust, and there's girls during Young Lust in lingerie spinning on stripper poles, And again, this band, El Monstero, we spent $46 on our tickets. That includes the service charges to see Blue Oyster Cult and El Monstero give you the best Pink Floyd experience you can get in the Midwest. I haven't seen Australian Pink Floyd. I haven't seen all these cover bands. I did see Pink Floyd on this tour at Legion Field in Birmingham, Alabama back in '94. I've seen Roger Waters 3 times. This is great. This is as good as it gets, not just for the St. Louis area, not just for the Midwest. Internationally, these guys are incredible. Is there any, but after Young Lust, we get a full treatment of Dogs off of 1977's Animals. Kevin said to me, this is going to be a full commitment if they're going to do this right. And they did. 17-minute song, and they hit on all elements. And, you know, as I've aged, that 1977 Animals album has been the one that's really risen to the top of their albums for me. Just because I don't quite know it as well as Wish You Were Here and Dark Side and Wall and some of these other albums. It just really feels fresh, and Dogs was amazing. Is There Anybody Out There is next, which goes into Hey You. And they crushed Hey You, you know, and the worms ate into his brain. And they were eating into ours. Gummy worms? We're eating into our brains. And just, again, you got Thomas Quinn on vocals and, you know, handling that part. It was great. It was great. Just one of my favorite songs in Hey You. Then Run Like Hell, another Brick in the Wall Part 3, back into Run Like Hell. You know, we're getting a full dose of the Wall album at this point. But then I think we went and got a beer and came back during the beginning of Shine On You Crazy Diamonds, parts 1 through 5. And man, you're really getting a sense. I saw them last year. I saw them the year before. They were better tonight, I felt like. Put it in the comments if you've seen these guys multiple times, if this was particularly special, if the vocals were particularly on. I mean, Jimmy Griffin's vocals, especially in his aura, in his smile, in his sensing the moments. And this place is packed, by the way. This is a 20,000 seat place. There's 7,000 seats and 13,000 lawn. I bet you there was 15,000 people there last night. I've seen it busier, obviously, for Van Halen back in the day and things like that. Dave Matthews. It was packed for a cover band plus Blue Oyster Cult. We then get Fearless off of 1971's Metal, and just what you want to hear, you know. Similar to hearing Dogs, you get kind of a you know, something not off of the big, you know, 4 albums or 3 albums. You get something off of Metal, and it's the right song at the right time. The wind's great. Jimmy Griffin says, hey, can you believe we got this weather? The gods that gave us this weather. And it is rock and roll gods. Straight from Fearless into Wish You Were Here. You know, what hasn't been said about that song? Great song. They then play Have a Cigar. They bring out a guest vocalist. I don't know that guest vocalist's name. Somebody's going to put it in the comments, please. He did a great job playing that character of, you know, the agent or the record company guy that's trying to, by the way, which one's Pink? You know, that guy. Then we go into Speak to Me. And then they play Breathe in the Air. And right away, Kevin's like, they're going to play all of Dark Side of the Moon. And they did. You know, and this is going to be a long video, but, you know, On the Run, and then Breaking into Time. And by the way, they use a screen, and they have images that they've made. Of course, they can't use the pig. They can't use some things that are signatures in the Pink Floyd, lore and so forth, but they make their own images on the back screens, and it's really fun to watch that, along with the lights and the fire and the girls. And we go into Breathe, and the girls come out. I don't know if these are the right names for the girls, but I think we have Kristen Johnson, Tandra Williams, and Ermin Cannon on backing vocals. They did such an amazing job because, of course, we have the vocal breakdown on The Great Gig in the Sky, one of the great Pink Floyd songs of all time. The fact that in 1972 you put an album out like Dark Side of the Moon that is so special and so perfectly done. Although Kevin says he likes The Wall better. I don't. I love The Wall. But I love the one album, Dark Side of the Moon, because it's perfect. And not many albums are perfect. List in the comments below what's a perfect album. Boston's first album, Van Halen 1. Dark Side's perfect. Then, of course, Money brings you in, and Us and Them. Again, the guitar combination of Jimmy Griffin and Brian Green. Each one's playing note for note, to the point where you wonder, like, how are they doing it, And by the way, during Dark Side, of course, there's some, there's the clocks going off, and there's set pieces within that you need for songs like Time and Money and the cash register, the coins coming out. Those are all being done. Those are piped in. So those sounds are piped in. But the rest of it's done by a band that's tighter than hell. And maybe even better than The Real Thing. Because we got an 80-year-old Waters and an 80-year-old, Nick Mason and Gilmore. And, of course, Richard Wright's dead. It's as good as it gets if you like Pink Floyd. That's all I'm going to say. Us and Them, just a beautiful song. Kevin said to me, and he's like, man, what a gorgeous song. And it just is. And it felt like there was a community last night and people partying. Again, Kevin and I are standing up. Like I said in the Blue Oyster Cult video, we're the only ones standing up at times because we're out on a Saturday night and we want to listen to our favorite music and we want to freaking party and have fun and dance and air guitar. And people are sitting down. You want to sit down all night? Fine. But I don't want to sit down. I didn't come there to sit down and take it in like I'm at the movie theater. I'm at a rock and roll concert. Any Color Like You, and then of course you dismount out of the whole thing into Brain Damage, Eclipse, which is some of my favorite. You talk about finishing off a great album. You've got this masterpiece, and then you finish off with Brain Damage and Eclipse, and it makes the whole album come together. By the way, do the Wizard of Oz thing where you start the album right when the lion roars at the beginning of the MGM thing or whatever. You gotta do that. It works. And then they do a set break. They bring out Buck Dharma from Blue Oyster Cult. They bring out Richie Castellano from Blue Oyster Cult and John Anderson, the band Geeks. So Castellano and Buck Dharma out. And of course they close with Comfortably Numb because you can get those guitar solos in. Jimmy Griffin takes a killer solo, followed by an equally killer solo from Brian Green. Buck Dharma takes an awesome solo, again showing how his tone is even up here compared to those guys. And Richie takes a solo. It's a great way to cap off a great night of music. Check out my channel. We only talk about great music here every day on Intersection Records. Check out El Monstero. Leave a like here. Subscribe again. Add some comments to what was your favorite song tonight. Catch you later. Peace out. See ya.